thinking back five years ago, I was at the University of Waterloo, I was studying in my final year of engineering, and we were kind of building little devices. I think I was working on a wallet computer as well as this smartwatch. And I don't think I would have been able to predict that 5 years from then I would be, running a company that makes a smartwatch. I think it's really cool, and it definitely speaks to the fact that smaller companies can get started on day one building a product that people can use. I think our first prototype of the watch we made back in 2008. It used an Arduino, which is a very easy, simple prototyping platform that people use to test out microcontroller code. And we built a prototype Pebble using an old Nokia 3310 display. I don't know if anyone ever remembers that classic candy bar phone that sold hundreds of millions of them. So we ripped the display out of that phone, grabbed this Arduino, plugged them all together, and we actually made a device that was slightly held together by duct tape, but also kind of delivered on that initial vision. Obviously, 5 years later, there's much less duct tape involved in the product. But we were able to launch, as Andrew mentioned, on Kickstarter last year and spread the word about smartwatches throughout the whole world. We had backers in over 150 countries around the world, with 45% of our backers being outside of the US. So it was definitely indicative of kind of this worldwide interest. And we wouldn't have been able to predict that. Actually, we didn't. The night before we launched on Kickstarter, we were sitting around in my living room, which was our office. And we were kind of making predictions for what we thought would be, day one or the first week on Kickstarter. And I think the highest bet that we had made was $5,000 to raise $5,000 in the first week. We ended up raising around 3.2 million, a little bit more than the prediction. But it's kind of that was the kickstart of this next generation of the product. And so the product itself is a smartwatch. It talks to your iPhone or your Android smartphone. Whenever you get a new email or text message, the watch vibrates and it displays the key portion of that message right on your wrist. So I think the bread and butter of a smartwatch is definitely the notifications and alerting. But what we did special with Pebble was we added in a customizability factor. So we have a full SDK that enables people to write applications that run directly on the watch. So they're not just applications that run on your smartphone that consume sensor data from the watch. They're actual applications that run on the microcontroller on the watch. And next year we'll be launching an app store that enables people to share their Pebble apps to the hundreds of thousands of users around the world who are using it. And it connects into the network, so it talks to your phone by Bluetooth, and through your phone, using your phone kind of as a router, it can control devices on the internet. So recently there's been a lot of hackers that have started to make interesting apps for Pebble. There's a Philips Hue app, so you can actually control your LED lights around your house right from your watch. There's a Lockatron app. Lockatron is a Wi-Fi enabled door lock. So instead of having to pull out your phone or pull out your keys to get into your house, you can now just click a button on your watch and your door's open. So I think it's kind of like this great platform for people to get started, for both users, hackers, and developers to get started, but also for companies to begin working with wearables without having to go to the effort of building an entire platform just to build one particular application. So we're getting started. It's our first year of kind of this selling Pebble. And
how many people in the company now?
We have 45 people. So it's been
a few less than Samsung, right?
Yeah. And we're based in Palo Alto, and very recently we were in my living room, but now we're not in the living room anymore. Yeah.
Nice going. So how do you position yourself in the future when you know that the big guys are going to come into this market segment?
It's a completely valid question. I think right since the beginning of wearable computing, one of the first smartwatches ever to come out was the Sony Ericsson MBW series, and some people might remember that it was an analog watch with a little OLED display right below. And I think a lot of people have had this vision before for wearable computing. The one thing that, as humble as I can be, I think we did do one thing quite well with our Kickstarter project, which was talk about it from the consumer angle, from the perspective of someone who's actually going to go out and buy one of these things. How are you going to use it on a daily basis? How is it going to make sports, fitness, notifications? How is it going to make your life better in some small but potentially meaningful way? And while a lot of people are talking about wearables, there's not as many people that are talking about what people will do with them. And we're really proud of the ways that our users are using Pebble on a daily basis. And I think over 2014, as more and more people start talking about wearables and coming out with different types of devices on the wrist or on your body in different ways, the important thing that I always pay attention to when hearing about a new product is always like, how are people going to use it? You know, how is this going to make my life better? And how does it mesh with my everyday life? Because I don't want to buy a product that forces me to conform around it. I want it to have long battery life. I want it to be wearable and durable and something that I can just add into my
See this?
The watch for us was a bit of a low-hanging fruit. People already spend money on the wrist. They put a piece of technology on the wrist, whether it's a mechanical watch, a beautiful mechanical watch that's passed down through the family, or a Casio or a G-Shock or something like that. So it was a great opportunity for us to take up a position on the body and kind of bring our technology to it. I think in the future, our plan is actually to connect other devices that we don't make ourselves. So we're partnering with we partnered with GoPro actually to produce an app for Pebble that will control your GoPro. So if your GoPro is sitting on your ski helmet, instead of having to fill up with your camera there, you can just quickly change the settings or start and stop recording right on the watch. And the same thing goes kind of with health sensors. So as a company, we probably will not be the ones that create new Bluetooth, new heart rate sensors, new blood pressure sensors, because that's not our core competency. But what we will do is act as a Bluetooth LE connector. So if you happen to be wearing another sensor on your wrist or around your chest, or a bicycle pedometer or a power sensor, our job on your wrist is to connect to those sensors and be like the heads-up display for the products that you already use. So I think our perspective is definitely part of the Internet of Things, being kind of that hands-free display for the other devices.